Hey, folks, hope everybody's doing well. Happy Wednesday. Um, Tonight is pretty special. I've got three guests on, which is a first for the Hack Show. I have three people that are responsible for putting together a CD called Buffalo Rock City, and it is all to raise money for the homeless in Buffalo, New York. This is very cool also because they actually approached me. So for once, I didn't have to chase a guest down. And what do you know? End up with three guests, and amazing guests, as a matter of fact. So without further ado, let me bring them on. We have with us John and Jean and
Hello.
Philip Jones. How are you guys?
Yay. Good.
Hey, thanks for having us.
Rock and roll.
Thank you for having me.
All right. So I got to warn everybody, there's going to be a lot of Kiss talk on this show because
No.
yeah, you got the three major Kiss nerds, and Gene is just entering that world. So,
Well, he has the name for it, so he's by default
Yeah.
in the world.
Yeah.
I bet you a lot of people thought Gene Simmons was going to be on this show. How much you want to bet?
you know, and a couple of times I had to say that. Yeah, I got John and Gene, not Gene Simmons. Yeah. So, okay. So let's start with you, John. So you want to tell us a little bit about the CD, how you put it together, some of the people that you had come in and participate in this thing?
Yeah, sure. The album, it's Buffalo Rock City. It's Western New York's tribute to Kiss, and it comes out December 15th, just in a couple weeks from now. And it's basically, I guess, the underlining story of the record is good things coming out of bad scenarios. Like the charity that the album is going to be donating to is to help the homeless youth population here in Western New York, and we're donating via a foundation called the Compass House, and they help kids in all different scenarios. And when we were trying to think of a good charitable organization to deal with, and we were looking at the homeless population, we thought helping the youth would really be the thing to go with for most situations. People who wind up being homeless, it's the youth who really suffer the most because they're the ones least responsible for whatever decisions that were made or whatever scenarios took place that put them in that situation. So that was the reason that we went with Compass House, and that's the like I said, the cause behind the record. But getting great guys like Phil Schaus and the guys that he plays with in Ace Frehley Band, Ryan Spencer Cook and Jeremy Asbrock. I mean, it literally wouldn't have happened if COVID-19 didn't hit, because these guys would have been probably, out on the road, and along with, a bunch of the other, pro circuit national guys who played on the record, Tommy Hendrickson from the Alice Cooper Band, Robbie Takak from the Goo Goo Dolls. It's just, unfortunately, COVID really took a beating on a lot of people, and especially people like Phil, who, playing live, that's, that's that's what he lives for. And so people, like I said, are professional musicians, and that's their main source of income. And along with crew guys and roadies and everybody in that entire industry have really taken a hit, and it's a really horrible thing. And I hate to even say that we somehow benefited from that, but like I said, it is something good that came out of a bad situation.
Yeah, yeah. So how did you get all these different folks to appear on this? Like that I mean, it seems to me to be like a pretty monster task.
I begged them. No, seriously, it was very daunting, because there was a lot of people that I did reach out to. Some people politely declined. Some people gave me the blow off. But more importantly are the people that, like Phil, who is a super genuine human being, great musician, but a great human being. And he was not only helpful in terms of his own participation, but his participation, like I said, got, Ryan and Jeremy also involved in the record. And without Phil's help, I wouldn't have had those guys on the record either. So, I really owe a lot to Phil for everything that he's done, for helping in the early process of this record. And, but to answer your question, yeah, I mean, I just basically had to lay it on the line with everybody that I asked, this is what I'm looking to do. Do you, also, it came down to finding people who had the ability to do remote recording.
Yeah.
Because if they didn't, then we had to work around that scenario as well. So,
which it had to, but
yeah.
Yeah, so that's that a lot of moving pieces, man, especially when you got people from all over just sending you files, right? Trying to put all that together. And I mean, John sent me a couple of tracks to listen to. And I mean, if folks that watch my channel, like I'm a major Kiss nerd. And what really blew me away, and I was mentioning this to you guys off air, is not only are they nailing the songs, but they're nailing the tones. Like it's freaky, right? Like, I mean, they're doing a tune off of Animalize, Into the Fire, and it's not just played to perfection, but the tones. I mean, if I listened to it side by side with the real version, you would not be able to tell the difference. It's insane how you guys were able to nail the tones. That's what blew me away, man.
It's half the fun.
Yeah.
It is.
So if you're a Kiss nerd out there, take it from this Kiss nerd, man. I highly recommend it. Just that sampling was incredible. And the other cool thing about it is you're not doing the tried and the songs you've heard. There's no rock and roll. Is there rock and roll night on that?
No.
Okay,
No.
Thank God. Did you do War Machine?
No.
Thank God.
But no, I mean, really, what wound up happening with the song selection was when we kind of came up with the, I guess, concept, if you will, of putting the songs together, like you're mentioning, songs that aren't done to death,
Exactly.
And not that some of those songs that are done to death, not that they're not great songs, but it's just, when started doing research on doing this record, I went back and literally tried to find copies of every single Kiss tribute record that's ever been put out, going back to the first one that came out in 1990. It was the Hard to Believe, which I think like the big song on there was Nirvana doing.
Nirvana was on it. Yeah.
Do you love me?
Yeah. And so, I really wanted to kind of take an account of like what songs were covered, which songs weren't. And when we started thinking about doing this as like a charitable type thing, we started putting together the concept of like, well, okay, we'll make this like the non-pop rock Kiss album, and we basically started picking songs that kind of loosely tied in with the concept of what the charity is in terms of, the homeless situation. So,
Right.
we picked songs that, dealt with, literally living on the streets or,
Maybe living in hard times. Now that makes
hard
sense.
times,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah,
Or,
now I'm getting it.
I've had enough talks about, like interpersonal struggle of, going through things and just not dealing with it anymore. And,
Back on the streets.
back on the streets, Black Diamond, all the songs that we picked, they all fit that. And again, like you were saying, we felt that the ones that were done previously, it was really important to do them, I guess really do them accurately because, being, like I said, I had listened to a lot of other the Kiss tribute records. I guess me as a fan, that was where some of the songs let me down when I heard songs that weren't done accurately. So I'm like, well, if I'm going to do this, I'm going to do it right. And that's basically what it came down to.
And what's cool too is, I mean, again, for the Kiss nerds, you have some people that were heavily involved with Kiss in the past. I mean, Philip is involved with them currently, but in the past, with Mitch Weissman.
Yeah,
Wow.
that's actually a pretty interesting scenario. Is that I wanted to have a few different like firsts on the record, and I would definitely have to say that's probably the biggest point of history, if you will, with this record. This is the first time that a Kiss co-writer actually went back and re-recorded their own version of the song, and he sings it the way he originally sang it to Gene before
Right.
Gene, sang it in the studio, sang
Now,
it his way. And this is the
song,
first time.
which song is that? Because he's done a couple of them. Is
Yeah.
it
While the City Sleeps is the
While the
song.
City? Okay, all right.
Yeah.
Because I think he also co-wrote "Thief in the Night" and "Murder in High Heels." I could be wrong.
Yeah, no, he actually has quite a few Kiss co-writes.
Yeah.
He co-wrote "Get All You Can Take" with Paul Stanley.
Yeah, we wrote with Paul too. That's right.
And I want to say "Murder in High Heels," "Thief in the Night."
"Thief in the Night." Yeah.
Yeah. So, and he also co-wrote some songs with Gene that wound up on, I believe, on the Keel "Right to Rock" record. So he's done a lot of writing with those guys over the years.
And he sang backup on Gene's record because he couldn't get John and Paul.
Yeah,
So
on the solo record.
That's
We got
right.
the Beatlemania guys.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that was Mitch's introduction to working with Gene.
Yeah.
It was
He was
I know.
Paul in Beatlemania, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
Now, Phil, did Gene tell you any stories about that, about the solo album? Do you recollect anything?
Yeah, because we asked him all kinds of stuff constantly, and he never got that mad or didn't show it. He was like, "Will you guys shut up?" But no, we did, and I think we just kind of knew how, because he wanted to get John and Paul to sing backup on. There's so many Beatle-y tunes on his '78 record,
Yeah.
and they declined, couldn't do it, whatever. And then so he was like, "Well, the next best thing is to get those guys." So that was why he just went after them, because they were doing Beatlemania, and then they kept in touch.
What's really cool with we're talking off air. So for those of you who are just tuning in, so Philip played in Gene's solo band, and now he's a member of Ace's solo band, and he's also playing Accept. So he's a busy dude. But and we'll talk about and the Accept has a project coming out soon. I got the link, which I will share right now. That's you weren't kidding. That's a big link.
It's a lot of stuff. It's a long link.
Yeah. Okay. So anyway, it's in there. Anyways, what was cool with Gene's solo thing is he was playing some deep cuts. Like at the show I saw you guys doing, was God Love for Sale. You guys did that, and you guys were doing Charisma,
Mm-hmm.
and that blew my mind.
Probably radioactive too.
Radio, where when you come, I think you had the Hosanna thing, the intro.
Yeah.
When you're coming in, but I don't know if you actually played the song. I can't remember. This is
Okay. Yeah.
But that was cool. Like anytime you hear the deep cuts, because for me it's all about the deep cuts, man.
That was our goal with that whole thing. We did one gig. It was kind of a private corporate gig that we did some R&B covers, and they wouldn't have got it. But when it was Cleveland, that was the first show that was in front of Kiss fans. That's when he asked us. He goes, "What are some cool songs that we could do?" And we were like, "All right."
Yeah.
So yeah, Got Love for Sale, Charisma were in the first batch that we hit him with,
Right.
and we would keep on because we never played the same set twice. Like
Mm.
one song was different pretty much every show. So we threw 80s and Waiting we did a couple times. Ladies Room we did a couple times. Trying to think other thing. We did so many different tunes. All the Way was in there.
Oh man.
And yeah, we just would do like snippets and stuff. So it was he was game for everything. He wouldn't he was pretty brave.
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
You guys did Love Theme too, which was great.
We did Love Theme. At rehearsal, we went into Acrobat.
Oh, that's awesome.
We played Acrobat with him.
Acrobat, which eventually became Detroit Rock City. That's very
Yeah,
cool.
yeah.
That
He definitely pointed that out at rehearsal. Da-da-da-da-da. I wrote that. But yeah. So we did Love Theme Stayed, which was great. We did World Without Heroes a couple times.
Wow.
A lot of different songs. It was really
Guys-
cool. He was really daring with that stuff.
Did you guys ever do Almost Human?
Oh yeah, a lot. We did Almost Human a bunch.
I would
Yeah.
to see that.
We did a lot. We did She's So European a lot. Yeah, I think Charisma we played every show. It's the only one that we did. And we just that one went over really well, and we played it really well too. We cranked up the tempo a little bit, and it killed. It was just really, really, really good.
Yeah. It's a great song, man.
One of my favorites.
So how's he to work with? Is he a good guy, nice guy?
Absolutely the greatest. Like,
Wow.
I've done a lot of what we call in the business artist gigs. You know, I'm a hired gun guy, right? I'm a side guy.
Right.
I've never been treated anywhere near as good as Gene treated me. And the guys will tell you too. If you ask any of us separately, we'll all get like giddy like schoolgirls over Gene. He was absolutely the greatest. We were with him all the time because it was just us. We had no crew. It was the five of us, and that was it.
Right.
So we traveled together. We rode from the airport to the hotel together. We had dinner at the hotel together. We'd ride to the show together, have dinner, have breakfast at the hotel. You know, we were with him all the time. And, you know, he was just great. He was an easy hang. He was fun. He was funny. Easy to have a conversation with. He never bullied the conversation. Like, he'd listen to you. It was great. It was like a lot of guys were just like, oh, yeah, I'm the boss. I mean, he was the boss, but he never, you know, he'd throw his weight around, but not with us. It was like he liked being one of the guys, and he liked being in the band. He was very band forward. He would always sometimes literally push us to the front of the stage, but you know, metaphorically and literally was very, very pro us. He was great.
That's cool, man.
Right.
You know, because he's one of those guys that in the media, you know, he gets beat up pretty bad. So
He does, man, and he doesn't give a shit. He doesn't care. He doesn't care at all, and that's what the cool thing. He's so comfortable in his own skin. I envy that. I wish I was like that more. But no, he was fantastic for those 2 years, and you know, we still, you know, what? It's funny. If there's one guy that's not liking this time down, it's him, because he never stops, right?
right.
And so, like, we'll get random emails from him. It's like old clips of us on YouTube, and it's like he's bored stiff if he's looking at our shows. He's like, "Here's us in Mexico City," or something, and we'll just, you know, we email back. He's great. He was really awesome.
Well, that's the whole thing, right? With what's happening right now. I mean, it was happening in the middle of their tour.
Yeah.
I mean, is he going to be? Is he going to be too old to finish it? I mean, let's say another year. I mean, come on.
I mean, yeah, it's like, you know, and not just Kiss. You know, a lot of bands like that.
Yeah.
Like it's like our you know, Aerosmith. You know, AC/DC, are they going to tour for the new record? You know, I don't know. It's like when you get all these guys when they're approaching 70 or already there in their 70s. Like, how much longer can you throw on, you know, 15-pound boots and
Yeah,
do all
exactly.
that stuff. They're not like Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young.
Yeah.
Go sit on stools.
Sit
This
on
is
stools, yeah.
kind of a show, man. And so I don't know.
Well, they are doing that thing in Dubai,
Yeah,
right? They're doing that, so at least they'll be doing that live stream thing. So
yeah.
all right, so
I wanted to add the one cool thing. Well, there's many cool things about Phil and those guys playing with Gene, but the fact that when Gene, for the first time ever, had a solo band, he had 3 guitar players. So the arrangements that they did were very faithful to the studio arrangements, because they could keep like when they would do the studio tracks, and they'd have the rhythm guitar, as like an underdub, and then they would do the leads on top. They could do all the layered leads like how it is on the record, versus with Kiss, they were just limited to 2 guitar players. So that was a really cool thing.
We went after the studio records arrangements, like you said, John, because Kiss does it like that. Let's do Christine 16 like on the studio record. Or is it like octave? Let's play the harmony. The ending of Deuce, those harmony solos, we did that.
Yeah.
In Got Love for Sale, there are 3 rhythm guitar parts in the chorus, so we could play all those 3. Now the 3 guitar thing happened because at first Gene wasn't going to play bass; he was just going to sing.
Oh, okay.
And we were going to pass the bass around to whoever wanted, and then somebody, I think Ryan was like, with all due respect, I think Kiss fans are going to want you to play bass. He goes, okay, great, but at that point, you're not getting rid of any of the 3 of us. So it's like, well, we're all doing it. And then after Gene was like, you sure? And it was like, yeah, we're good. We're going to be good. And then he loved it. Then he was just like, you're a goddamn guitar symphony. He loved the 3 guitars after like a few.
It sounded great.
Yeah, I did it. Yeah, he dug it.
Yeah, it sounded great, man. It sounded great.
Yeah.
So John, when and Gene, you guys, so when you guys were doing the recording for this CD, and again getting back to matching the tones, like what kind of gear were you guys using? Were you trying to use like the same gear? And this is also for you, Phil. Were you guys like using the same gear, the same effects, the same amps?
Well, that's a good question, because when we were looking into recording this stuff, like we were talking about earlier, being really accurate, I've known Bruce Kulick for a long time. I've been a journalist basically as long as I've been a musician, since I was 16. I started my own Kiss fan club called the Kiss Underground, and so I got to know all the guys in Kiss at a really young age, and they were always like really, really cool and respectful to me, because I just wasn't just some dumb kid. I knew my shit. I knew Kiss, and Gene would say that a lot of times when I interview him. He goes, "You really know your stuff," and I'm like, "Well, I try," And so I got in touch with Bruce, and I was asking him like for the Animalize stuff, because some people might not know, but Bruce was actually part of the Animalize record at the very end when they were doing some overdub stuff. They weren't really happy with the stuff that Mark was playing, so they asked Bruce to come in, and Bruce, I think, plays on 2 tracks on Animalize.
I think he plays on the Gene songs, doesn't he?
Yeah, I'm thinking "Lonely is the Hunter" is
on
one
a
of
tag
them.
out or something. I think so.
And I think maybe the end, outro of "Murder in High Heels." I think he does too.
I know he does one of the tag outs.
Yeah, and so I knew that he would be familiar with the recording process of the record, and he was like, if you really want to get that sound, you want to use a Rockman and plug direct into the Rockman, and we're like the Rockman, like the amp, and he's like, no, like the headphone thing from the 80s.
Yep.
I'm sure Boston.
Yeah.
I'm sure. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, and so we didn't do that, but
that was in response to hearing what we already had.
Yeah. So but I think what we got was really close, and Gene can tell you exactly what he used.
So I spent a whopping $200 on an 11 rack, Black Friday sale 2 years ago, and that's everything I did was done off this cheap ass 11 rack.
Wow.
It's
really?
I don't know. Yeah, well, they're underrated. Honestly, I mean, I've heard the Kempers, and a lot of my buddies. I don't know if Philip, that was you're using the Kemper.
Yep.
I mean, it's amazing. Every time I hear it, the hairs on the back of my neck stand up, and I want to spend the money on one. But I was able to get a lot of cool sounds out of this. So anything of the two Animalize sounds were done off of this. Back in the Streets, I used it. I used an Yngwie Malmsteen patch for the leads. I don't know. EQ's magic. And two Eddie Van Halen patches, EVH 3 red patch, and some Van Halen 1 that I download. Both I download off the internet, and I did one to the right, one to the left. I couldn't tell you which was when I doubled the rhythms. Yeah. But I think a lot of it's just a little EQ after the fact. But
I'm like beside myself, man, because I heard Ring of the Fire, and I'm like, man.
Thank you.
You nail that tone. Holy
fun.
shit, did you nail that?
Thank you.
That's crazy.
Yeah, mine was Kemper. And I for Dirty Livin', I played guitar on the guitars on Dirty Livin'. And I went and found a Michael Britt profile, and it was a late 70s Marshall. I picked something kind of like, I wasn't sure what they used, but I'm assuming it was a mid to late 70s Marshall.
Yeah.
Found one that wasn't super heavy. And with Kemper, there's, I have like 17,000 profiles. I use like 10, probably, so I was like scrolling through, finding one that's kind of right, that also like not only has like, EQ and gain, but just kind of sounds correctly, like it was mic'd right, and all those kind of things, because they're all a little bit different. And so I found one that I was a good starting point, and then just kind of like, EQ'd it and fixed it like I wanted to. And I think I probably used the same profile, but just, beefed up the gain for the lead parts and for the little do-do-do, all those kind of things, like beefed up those. But yeah, the Kempers are just, it's amazing. And I forgot, I think I used on Hard Times, I think I used this profile that Mark Slaughter sent me. It's a Coliseum, a Sun Coliseum bass head. And it pretty much is Gene's bass tone. I mean, it sounds awesome. It sounds just like Gene, just from when you plug it in and you have to do nothing to it. I'm pretty sure I used that one.
That's what Gene was using back then, right? In 79, 80?
The Sun Coliseums, yeah.
The Sun bass line. I remember the ad, like I think in the Dynasty tour book.
Yeah, that's right. It was there. So I'm pretty sure I used that profile for that song. And the Kemper is just incredible. It's just
I see one of the comments in here from my buddy Art Carveretti. He's a ripping player, man. He used the Kemper. He's pushing it. Get it, dude, here in the comments. He knows we're talking. Yeah.
This will turn into a commercial for them.
I know. I'm an evangelist for the stupid 11 rack, man.
Those are great. Those are awesome. The Kemper's the best gear purchase I've ever made. I mean, I get happier with it by the day. It's awesome.
I have a spot for one right here. I know. It's reserved.
You should fill that spot. You'll love it. I guarantee it. Oh, those 11 racks are cool, man. I love all those.
I guess guitar-wise, it's safe to say when you guys were doing the A stuff, you were playing a Les Paul, right?
Yeah, for Hard Times, yeah.
Yep, for Dirty Livin', for me too, yeah.
What do we use for that one guitar pitch? A phone app.
Oh yeah. That was one of the other things we were toying around with. We were trying to come up with sounds. There's this phone app called ToneBridge. And it is really super accurate to a lot of the various Kiss tones, not just like 70s, but throughout the whole career. Yeah,
per song on there.
But the problem is they have all the effects are like baked on, so we didn't want to record any of the effects baked on. So when we got into mixing and stuff, we didn't want to be stuck with delays and stuff. So. The only song that we actually used that for was for the rhythm track for Street Giveth and Street Taketh Away,
Yeah,
because
so it
we
made
wanted
on
to
there.
get that real reverby kind of chorusy guitar sound that Bruce had on Hot in the Shade, and that was the only thing that we used it for.
So for the Bruce stuff, were you guys playing ESPs or Kramers or any of those things?
Yeah, I actually the band that there's only 2 Bruce era songs on the record, Street Giveth, and we also did Jungle. And Jungle was predominantly recorded by a band called Do Driver. And the interesting thing about Do Driver is they were actually picked by Kiss to open up when Kiss played here at Darien Lake in 2010. They had this like Guitar Center competition for that tour where every city they played, they would vote, the top bands. And then I think it was Gene and Paul and Doc McGee were the ones that picked the band out of the top 3 that were voted to open for Kiss. And Do Driver was the band that was voted to open for Kiss here. And they're the band that's actually doing the majority of the song Jungle.
Right.
But the thing is that they're like a 1 guitar player band, and which is great because it's perfect for what they do. But Jungle has like a lot of really cool lead stuff on it.
Yeah.
So and being that I'm such a Kiss nerd and know all this stuff, and being a fan of Bruce, I knew all the guitar parts. So instead of making their guitar player Mike Tribuco learn all the parts, and I just was like, well, I can play it. So I did, and I played it on a ESP and an M2 that looked just like the one that Bruce had on the Revenge tour, and that's what I used for the guitar stuff on that.
And 11 rack.
Yeah, and
We dialed in some Marshall tones that were in there.
Yeah.
So Gene, what were you playing on that Into the Fire song? What guitar were you using for that?
I'm a Charvel guy, man. I love these guitars, these Pro Mods. It's this guy.
Oh, okay.
The yellow one. She's a Mexican. I got 4 of these, so and I'm obsessed. Yeah. So that's all I used on it.
Cool, man. You got it.
I do want to clarify one thing. So when you hear "Dirty Livin'," obviously there's that one lead note that sustains forever.
Yeah.
I couldn't figure out how to do that. So that's John. I mean, John figured out the problem, and tell how you did that.
Sweet.
Yeah. When we started the recording, we started doing it at a studio in Rochester, and again, it was one of those situations where when COVID hit, Rochester was actually hit worse than our area was, and Joe Teresi, it was his studio that we started recording at, and he worked at a grocery store in Rochester as his day job. So he was in contact. He was, got to give him props because he was, frontline guy dealing with people on a daily basis when COVID was at its peak. So he didn't feel that it was safe for us to record there at the time, just, out of respect to us and our safety and our health. So we wound up doing a majority of the recording actually here in Gene's studio, because we're right now in Grand Island, New York, which you probably, if you're not from the area, you're not going to know the difference in areas, but it's a relatively big distance rather. And so what wound up happening is, we were talking about before, doing a lot of remote recording. Once I got Phil's tracks, I sent them to Joe, because Joe was kind of like, he was like the home studio. He was keeping track of all of the tracks because that's where we had started everything. So kind of the process of the recording, any of the remote tracks, they would get sent to me. I'd send them to Joe. He would comb all the tracks, make sure there was no clicks or pops or anything, and then he would send all the stems to Brad at a studio here. His name's Brad Lachey, who mixed the record. And so when I was sending Joe the stems that Phil recorded of Dirty Livin', he was listening to the lead parts, and he heard that, it sounded great, but like those last sustaining notes just didn't have any sustain, and that's like a huge part of that song. Are those?
It's like a four bar sustain. It's like it's a long one.
Yeah, it's a big one.
Yeah, it's really something that I think if we would have left that out,
it had to be there.
Yeah. Yeah. So what Joe did is he was trying out, he was recording everything in Cubase, and he was trying these different plugins, and nothing worked. And we started doing research, and we found this pedal. I think it's made by Boss, and it's called the Freak Out. And it's perfect. Like basically you just plug in whatever note you hit it, and you hit the pedal, and it just sustains the note for as long as you want.
So he just looped Phil's track through with that pedal engaged? Or
no, he
actually
played along
Okay.
to Phil. So basically what you hear is you hear all of Phil's guitar parts, and then he transitioned, actually Brad, when he mixed it so you would hear Phil's parts segue into the Freak Out sustain notes. That's the way that was recorded.
I could be excuse me, I could be wrong here, but didn't you also have somebody involved in the mixing that is Kiss related as well?
Not in the mixing, in the mastering process.
In the mastering.
Yeah, Jay Messina. Yeah, Jay actually he engineered and mixed Dynasty, and he co-mixed Unmasked, and although he's uncredited, he actually mixed Destroyer.
Wow.
He engineered and mixed Destroyer.
That was okay, because the Quirky Stasiak is the name that pops into my head with Destroyer.
Yeah.
As far as what?
And I believe engineering.
Yeah, Jay Messina is also one of the engineers. I know Jay's done a ton of records, and he's actually worked with Corky on a lot of records.
Okay.
Yeah, but he was one of the engineers, and if you look at the credits, you'll see that there's literally no credit for mixing on Destroyer.
Yeah, there is. Yeah.
It just appeared.
Yeah. So I mean, obviously we know when Kiss released the Kiss Resurrected that Bob Ezrin went back,
right?
And, pulled the original tapes and everything, and he did the mix for that. But the actual original Destroyer mix was done by Jay. Wow. And again, Jay was brought in the same way, like with Phil and the rest of these guys. Is somebody that I reached out to. Told them, basically what I was doing, told them, about the charity and, that I wanted to do something to help people. And he was really intrigued by it. And he had me send him, some of the tracks that were done. And he's like, if I can do something, if I can add something to it, I will. And he sent me back a couple samples, and, he didn't have to twist my arm to master the record. So
that's amazing on two levels, right? One, that he agreed to do it. Second, that is like the ultimate Kiss nerd move. Jay Messina, who, you know what I mean? I'm not saying that. Hey, I'm a Kiss nerd too, man. I'm just saying, like, for you to think of a guy contacting Jay Messina, that's like, holy shit. That's amazing, though, man. That you got so many Kiss folks involved in this project, man. That's amazing that you found these guys.
Well, the biggest thing with doing the record, again, being the fact that there were so many Kiss tribute records, the major difference with this record is that every other Kiss tribute record is a compilation record. And I don't know about you, but for me, I hate all compilation records, whether they're tribute records or just like greatest hits, because for me, being so into music, to me, it's fatiguing to the ear to listen to a track to track coming from different audio sources and being so different.
Right.
So, and, a lot of, Kiss tribute records didn't have obviously great budgets. So you'd really have huge variance in sound where you'd have one song you'd be listening to and it's like, the bass is blowing out your speakers. And the next song, you have to turn the volume up, and it sounds like it was recorded, on a transistor radio or something. And
yeah.
so that was the thing, is that we wanted to do this actually a collaboration record as opposed to a compilation record. So what we did is we recorded all the drums and the bed tracks on the same day, same studio, same drum set, and then everything that we built on top of that, whether it was something we recorded locally or we had recorded remote and then sent in, it was all built on the same project. So we used the drum sound as being like the sonic foundation, the concrete that tied each song to the next. And that, along with Jay Messina mastering the record, is what really kept everything sounding so sonically even. And that was a big goal with this record, is not have it sounding, just all over the place sonically. So that was very important.
That's cool. I want to thank, we have 55 people in here. I want to thank everybody for checking out the show. Much appreciated. If you're tuning in late, we've got John and Gene and Phil, who are putting together a CD. It's called Buffalo Rock City. It is to raise funds for the homeless youth in Western New York. So, very cool. Thanks, everybody, for checking out the show. Much appreciated. And because it's Buffalo Rock City, it's all about Kiss. So we're going to be talking a lot about Kiss. So
the cover art's fantastic, too. The cover art is just great.
I love that. So I shared the photo, right? Like I was said, on multiple sites. So some of the comments are, okay, so Paul didn't wear that costume when Ace had that one. He's got the wrong thing. It's like right off the bat. It's like the periods don't match, But I'm like, it's a nice.
Shut up.
Yeah.
Go get laid.
Well, I can actually explain that. The way that the cover art came to be was that, being that I'm a Kiss fan, I'm also very respectful of Gene and Paul and their ownership of the Kiss logo and the makeup designs. So it was really hard to come up with a concept of how do I put Kiss on an album cover without showing Kiss, right? And so I'm thinking, well, what are some of the most iconic Kiss images? And one of the most iconic things that I can think of is the Destroyer pose.
Right.
And as a kid, I mean, for a lot of fans, that was like their first time seeing Kiss was on the cover of Destroyer.
My first record I ever bought. Yeah.
See, there you go. And I would just, for hours as a kid, stare at that cover, and I would try to imagine looking at that if I was actually there and seeing that from different perspectives, being at the top or rather the bottom of the mountain looking up at them, or being in the burning city area and looking, seeing these four guys at the top of the mountain, what the hell are they doing? So I'm like, I wonder if it would look cool if we had that pose drawn from behind. And so I contacted Kevin Conrad, who's a friend of mine, and he actually inked the Kiss Psycho Circus comic series that Todd McFarlane had put out in the late 90s. Yeah. And Kevin is a huge Kiss fan. And so, I talked to him about it, and he had sent me some sketches, and he's aware of my Kiss tribute band, Kiss This. And, a lot of Kiss tribute bands, their whole thing is they all wear the same era costumes.
Same era, yeah.
Right. Our concept, though, is we wanted to wear our favorite costume that each member wore from whatever era it was. Okay. So, and our drummer portrays Eric Carr as opposed to Peter Criss. So when he was coming up with the sketches, he's like, well, I'm going to draw what you guys wear. If he would have just drawn them in the Destroyer costumes from behind, that would have been fine. But I thought that was neat that he kind of tied my band in with the cover of the record. And then what you see the four members in front of on the cover is actually the City Hall of Buffalo, New York, which I always thought, looking at it, it had a very Gotham-esque type look in real life. So having it drawn like that, it just added to, that comic book type look. And I just thought it was a cool concept, and, Kevin made it come to life.
That's cool. So Brian S is saying Philip played a white Les Paul with a black pick guard and knobs. Looked awesome.
Oh, I
Thought
used,
about your guitar.
I used to have a white one.
Oh, I used to have one.
Yeah. Oh, that's Jeremy.
Oh, it's Jeremy.
The other blonde guy.
Oh, I got the wrong guy.
Yeah, with Gene, I played. It's a company called Vintage. They're not old. That's just the name of the company.
Yeah.
British company. And with Gene for a while, I played. They made a 3 pickup black one for me. That was a great guitar, and so I played that one with Gene. And Jeremy had the white one.
Yeah. Now he's saying wrong blonde guy. Yeah.
I was on stage right. He's on stage left.
So actually, that brings another question I wanted to ask you guys. So, John, you play Ace in a tribute band, and you're playing with Ace currently, and have played with Gene. So you played Ace stuff, and Ace is one of those guys that I don't think he gets the respect he deserves. He gets beat up a lot. He's a sloppy player. He's this or he's that. I'll go to bat. I'll say anything Ace Frehley did. I'll go right from the first record. I'll even go as far as Unmasked. That stuff is untouchable. His note choice, his vibrato, his every solo is so well constructed. It's just it makes every song better than what it. I did a whole show on this a while back. Mm-hmm. It's like that guy's unbelievable, and how it is. I try to play Ace solos. I don't even get close. I'm hitting the notes, but I'm not even getting close. He's got this intangible, this feel, and obviously you guys can do it. You can capture that feel. So just talk a little bit about how you feel about his playing and how you approach his playing when you're covering his stuff.
Yeah, it's unmistakable. Like for lead guitar, that's when lead guitar made sense. Is when I got into Kiss. I couldn't figure out why when I was practicing scales what didn't sound like Van Halen. I was like, what's he doing? And when I heard Kiss, it all clicked. And with Ace, the solos are so good and so right for the song that you don't just jam a solo if you're covering Kiss. You learn the Ace solo in there. You do not do something different because it's perfect. You're not gonna do it with Strutter, Deuce, Got to Choose, like any of these things. You learn the lead. They're it's like another verse, like singing like it's like you're not gonna change the words.
Right.
You're gonna play them right, and he's got this thing. The right hand, and when you're standing in front of 2 cabinets and it's blowing your hair forward, man, he sounds just like Ace Frehley. And it's always really cool when you're hearing it like coming out of the speaker cabinet, apart from a stereo. And if you're seeing him live in the crowd, you're hearing him through a bunch of PA and cables. But when it's him coming out of a speaker cabinet and you're right there. That's really cool, man, because it sounds just like Ace Frehley.
and Phil told me once, I asked how loud is Ace on stage, and he says he has his guitar set on stun.
If I wasn't wearing, like, I've got these great molded plugs that I don't come near the stage without, man, he is screaming loud.
Wow.
Like screaming loud. And behind him, the monitors in front of him and side fields. It's just all around you. It's just whew.
When I saw him in Buffalo, he had 2 Marshall stacks like in front of the drums where he stands.
And they're tilted back in his head.
Yeah. And you're saying on top of that he's got side fills.
And wedges in front of him too.
And oh my God!
He has 2 or 3 cabinets depending on the size of the venue. If it's big and they have them, he'll do 3. He'll do like in an arc, And yeah, man, it's something else.
Holy shit! And no hearing protection, obviously. Well,
Yeah, no.
his hearing is pretty near gone. I mean, see interviews with him now. He's like, "What's that? What's that?"
Yeah. Man. And we all the guys in the band. I don't come near the stage without mine on. So, yeah.
That's crazy. That's crazy. So, what about you, John? How's it like? How do you approach his playing, man? How do you nail those acisms as they were?
You know, for me, a lot of it has to do with the vibrato. You'll hear a lot of different players, and Ace has an interesting vibrato because it's not always the same. Sometimes it's a very, you know what? It's funny. I noticed through playing guitar for years is a lot of people's vibrato, the way they play guitar, matches their personality. If somebody's like really like I don't know, kind of like uppity and fast, they kind of have like a really quick, fast vibrato. And sometimes Ace has really fast, quick vibrato. And sometimes it's like this really smooth, swinging vibrato that just kind of like, goes in between the notes. And the way he alternates that, and I also like when he'll play like a flatted note, like in the solo, like in Shock Me. Like he'll just be playing in that regular pentatonic scale, and he also does it in the solo and in Rocket Ride. He goes and he hits like this flatted note in the solo, and so I like his note choices that he makes, because it's not always just a lot of people think it's like just pentatonic, or like in 100,000 Years when I first learned the solo for that, I thought he was playing the G and he's bending the G, and he's actually. If some people might play the G and bend it a full step, but when I play it, I play G sharp and bend it and play. So he does a lot of interesting note things that a lot of people don't give him credit for.
That's true, and vibrato a good point, because he'll do it in tempo.
Yes.
Like I'm thinking of like he'll do like triplets, and then he'll do that, and then he'll do it quicker. Like he'll do eighths or sixteenths. He'll do it according to the tempo and change it. But a lot of players don't. Like you get guys with like the slow, like the Leslie West, the slow. Like Will Clapton was the guy for the big slow wide vibrato, and that's their vibrato always. But yeah, Ace would change it depending on the tune. Yeah.
Yeah, and the other thing I like about Ace is the overbends. I love the overbends back.
Yeah, the big step and a half.
Yeah, I love those overbends. Yeah.
100,000 Years is hard.
Yes.
That's a hard pattern to put it where he puts it.
Yes.
And like it's a 1, 2, 3, 4. I think it's a 4-note repeated pattern, but where he puts it, and it's over triplets, so it's like 4 into 3 or whatever drum.
Yeah.
It's really weird, and it's really hard. And for their first album, that's pretty progressive. I mean, young kids like that, and especially guys like that couldn't play. They get, like you said, they kind of get beat up with musicians. But man, that's some really cool playing and progressive playing for young guys like that.
We were talking about that before we actually went on air. It's like learning these songs to me is no easier than learning some Rush tune. I mean, I've learned a ton of Rush songs. I play them, and it's like I put just as much effort into trying to no matter who's playing guitar, but Ace absolutely.
Yeah.
And, chord to changes and things like. There's a lot going on, and it's just people don't give it credit musically for what it is.
It's really it's deceivingly hard. Like playing AC/DC. It's like
that's hard too.
You're gonna just butcher it if you don't really pay attention to how the stuff is put together and how it's arranged, and just the space in between the notes is as important as the notes themselves. And with this stuff, like with everything I did and John and Gene as well, we really went for not copying it, kind of copying it, because I wasn't going to try to put my own stamp and like my own sound on it. It's like, no, I'm going to play it the way those guys played it.
Pay homage.
Yeah, exactly. And doesn't need to. We don't need to rewrite the.
Don't fix it if it ain't broke.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah, exactly.
but it is tough. They're tough. I mean, it's nothing. There's no bones about it.
So let me ask you this. But sorry, go ahead, John.
No, I was just gonna say before we went on air, where I was kind of talking about my approach with the songs and kind of like the whole artistic license thing, because when doing a Kiss tribute album or just Kiss covers in general, you kind of have like the two schools. You have the one where people want to hear the song done like differently, like a reggae style, or completely like changing the style of the song. And then you have Kiss purists that hate that because they think, well, it needs to be authentic. And then you have other people that if you hear a Kiss cover being done authentically, and then you have the same people saying, well, I wish they would have put their own slant on it instead of playing it. So there's no way
That's a death wish.
You can win.
Death wish.
So what I was saying,
those are the same assholes complaining about the outfits on the album, on your album.
Yeah, exactly. So like my whole approach was that I kind of look at it like this: is people who have built a name like Phil and the guys and the Talisman, Rock and Roll Residency, Ace Frehley Band,
Bumblefoot.
and everybody else, Bumblefoot, Dean Castronovo. I mean, all you guys, being the fact that you've built a name for yourself, you've also created an artistic license that you can use. So if you wanted to do something different, it would be okay because who you are. Like nobody knows who Gene and I are. So like we have zero artistic license. So we're like, well, we're gonna have to play this exactly like it. But like when we gave Black Diamond to Bumblefoot, if he would have went ahead and just soloed crazy like he does on a lot of his stuff, it would have been fine because he's Bumblefoot, you know what I'm saying? But if it was me and I played the solo for Black Diamond, anything different than the way Ace did it, I'd be crucified. So that was kind of like my approach with when I sent out the tracks. I don't think I ever told Phil. I never said, Phil, well, you need to play this like the record. I just sent him the song, and he just did what he felt comfortable doing, and which being, respectful and loving the material like we do. The way he did it, it was it was obvious that he was going to do something that was going to be authentic and right on the money, which he did.
Yeah, when we started with Gene, that wasn't even a question with us. It was just like, no, we're going to play everything just like the record.
Yeah.
Gene never told us to or anything. He never said one thing about that. We were just like, oh, well, how else would we do it? What you think we'd go up there and just jam our own stuff? It's like, no way.
No, man. As somebody sitting in the audience that saw that show, I mean, I'm waiting for those Ace solos, and it's like, I got to hear it.
And with Kiss fans like that, it's like, like I said earlier, it's like if you're covering one, you don't just jam your own thing, even though it is like Deuce. It's like, yeah, it's A minor. It's a really easy pentatonic key to solo in, but no way, man. We're going to play the right thing, Play it how it goes.
Which brings me to my next question. So, and this could go for all three guys. What Kiss solo was the hardest that you guys ever tried to play?
Man, you know what a tough one is? Love Her All I Can is pretty tough.
That is hard, yes.
It's got the that whole thing's pretty tough. It's a wide stretch. It never really. Then it goes to the and that's a pretty tough rhythm.
Yes.
To keep up because it's a fast song.
Yes.
That one's a tricky one.
I played that one. I did a video a long time ago. My 5 favorite Ace licks or something. And like an idiot, I like that one, and then I tried to learn how to play it. Man, that is a tough one to pull off.
It's a tricky one. Yeah, it is.
I got small hands. Yeah, it's hard.
Yep.
Yeah, because Ace also stops in time with the like when he goes and then there's that stop and then
Yeah.
So it's that for me, it's always the hardest Ace stuff has been where he's really getting tricky with his timing. Like the solo for Flaming Youth, that's always been like my Achilles heel because what they do is they change the timing. It's one of the few times that in a Kiss song they actually change the timing.
There's a bar of 7. It's in 7/4.
Yeah, right. So Ace, obviously, he plays the solo over that changed timing until the very end of the solo. It has like a turnaround where it goes back into the regular timing. But when he first starts the solo, it's really weird, and it's really tricky timing to try to catch. So for me, Flaming Youth, that was the hardest Ace solo probably.
One thing I gotta ask. I asked about working with Gene. Philip, got to give me an Ace story. What's it like working with Ace?
Ace is awesome. We were with Gene so much. We traveled together and everything, and with Ace we just pretty much see him on stage. But there was a really funny thing in Japan when we had just first kind of we weren't his band yet. We were just doing the Japan shows because we were in Australia and we were already kind of there. So Japan was 8 shows in 4 days, 6 shows in 3 days in Tokyo, and then we finished out in Osaka with 1 night with 2 shows. And so we get done with the Tokyo shows, and we get back to the hotel, and we have 1 more day. We're going to Osaka the next day by train. And so we get out of our car, and Ace gets out of his car, and we're kind of getting our stuff, and Ace is like, all right, we'll see you guys on the cruise. And then Christopher Williams, our drummer, goes, oh, no, Ace, we're going to see you in Osaka. We got 2 more shows. And Ace goes, oh, we'll figure it out. Complete Ace. Like, all those things are kind of true. He's from another planet. And he's such a different, like, a cool guy. But, yeah, man, he's Space Ace. He really is.
Phil, I don't know if you were with him or if you had told the story, but I remember a story I read recently, and it was during a tour with you guys with Ace. I think when you went to Japan, and they asked Ace for his ID, and he pulled out a Kiss card and showed the Kiss card.
I saw that, and I was just looking at it going like, is this happening? He pulls out of his back pocket. It's a 77 Kiss trading card. With the makeup on, and he's just like, yeah, that's me. And I was just like, I think PJ was with us too. Ace's guy, or too much of PJ. And I was looking at PJ going, oh my God. I wish I was like, oh my God, it has to be filmed and documented. It was so funny.
That's amazing.
Like, just, for some reason, he had his passport, obviously, but I the holdup was he pulled out his card. The funny thing is, like, he keeps that with him for that reason. It was like, he just, okay, here's his trump card. Boom, that's me.
Go.
Let me through.
That's going jail free right there. That's funny.
Oh, great.
That's funny.
It was so funny.
I can hear. Do you have a Don Russ card? No, you don't.
Yeah, exactly.
I do.
Yeah, that's me. That's what I used to look like.
Yeah.
It was great. He's really, really great. It's cool. He and Gene are like both treated us so well, and they are as different as 2 people can possibly be. Like, it's pretty crazy spending time with them and now knowing, and then being a Kiss fan and thinking about what they accomplished. And like, I don't know how they made it through a rehearsal, even let alone like doing what they did. Everybody's like, those 2 guys are so different than Adam, Peter, and Paul, who are as different as those guys. If you can have 4 opposites, you know, like, it's like what they are. And it's just, it was really cool. And it was really cool in Australia when we were with Gene and Ace, and we were like, you know, walking through airports and sitting in airport lounges with both of them. It's just like, this is insane. How did this happen? You know, it was like, if the Gene thing wasn't crazy enough, and then we like get Ace, and then Gene like pretty much hand us over to Ace to let that thing happen. It's like, this is nuts.
That's crazy, man.
You know?
Crazy.
I remember one time I talked. It's funny you say that, Phil. I remember I talked to Sean Delaney one time, and he compared the four guys to the two, or rather the four signs, like earth, fire, water, air. And he basically compared each guy like that. So you're saying, like, if you could have four opposites, it's like they're like the four different elements, and I thought that was interesting that he compared them personality-wise.
Yeah, that's a good analogy.
So we're a little over the hour here, guys. So any last things you wanted to mention, John and Gene? The moderators have been putting up the links, folks. I have a link to the CD. The CD comes out December, I'm going to say 18th. Is that correct?
15th.
Oh, 15th. Okay. So I have the link below, the Bandcamp link for it. But is there any other things you'd like people to know before we wrap it up here?
Well, first, what I'd just like to do real fast is that I just wanted to because the first interview that we did, we got so caught up with telling stories, I didn't get a chance to mention people's names who are on the record, and nobody said anything to me, but I just, in retrospect, I'm like, I'm telling stories about, this guy and that guy, but I never even clarified that they actually played on the record. So just out of respect, I just wanted to list their names. And then before we wrap up, I want Phil to tell us more about his album coming out with Accept, because that's a badass record and people need to hear that. Okay, so real quick, I just want to mention off that us local yokel guys on the record, of course, myself, John Jeffrey, playing guitar, vocals, Gene Schmidt playing guitar. He plays on 3 songs. Kevin Blakita, he plays guitar and vocals. Julius Jambaluka, like I don't know my drummer's name. Julius Jambaluka plays drums. Sean Prisblack, he plays on 8 of the tracks on the record. Tommy Barnes, he plays acoustic guitar. Steve Matucci plays guitar. Rockwell Lane plays bass guitar on 2 tracks. Nat Peace plays vocals, sings vocals. Casey Moyer, she's also sings she does a great rendition of Freak, which I wanted to do that specifically because they originally were supposed to have Lady Gaga sing Freak on Monster, and it didn't work out. So we wanted to have a great female vocalist do that.
Cool.
And a really great singer, her name is Jane Evil. She actually sings like a duet of It's My Life with Taylor Sturza, the Gene Simmons for my band, because I always thought it would be cool to hear like the combination of the way Wendy sang the song and the way Gene did the song, like on the box set version. So it's like almost like a duet with both of them singing the song. So that's everybody local. And then Do Driver, like we were saying before, did Jungle, and Do Driver is Jody Valletta on vocals, Chris Alardo on bass, Mike Tribuco on guitar, and Mark Conlon on drums. And then, of course, all of these great national guys, Philip Schaus, Ryan Spencer Cook. He sings vocal on Dirty Livin'. Of course, Phil played guitar on Dirty Livin' and played bass on Hard Times. Jeremy Asbrock, he plays guitar on It's My Life. Robbie Takak does the vocals on Hard Luck Woman. Mitch Weissman sings vocals on While the City Sleeps. Tommy Henriksen does the vocals on New York Groove. Tommy Denander plays guitar on New York Groove. And Bumblefoot plays guitar on Black Diamond. And Dean Castronovo, he sings lead vocals on Black Diamond. And that's everybody.
Wow.
So now the important thing, Phil, Accept.
Yes, the new Accept album, Too Mean to Die, comes out January 15th, maybe, middle of the month. There's a couple singles out now. There's a link, I think, on the screen to the Nuclear Blast shop where you can buy it. Tons of vinyl options, all kinds of different colors of vinyl you can get, and cassette tapes. So I'm going to have to get a cassette tape of it here in it too. But yeah, it's really great. There's a lot of it sounds, it's all everything the Accept fans, like metal fans, love from Accept. There's a lot of moments where it's like that could be from '82, You know, it's like a lot of those tunes like that, and I'm playing on it, and it's a trip to, you know, hear me on an Accept album. For me, it's
Awesome.
cool. It's great. I'm really proud of it. Everybody involved in it, it's really proud of it. We all do a lot of back padding. It's like, this is a good record, so we all feel really excited about it. And that's coming out. And so about this, I wanted to say, you know, as John called them, like the local guys or not or whoever, everybody played fantastic on this record. Like
Thanks,
all the
man.
ones I've done, everybody's just dead on. And John personally, not even beyond COVID, John had some, to say hiccups wouldn't even be an understatement. Had some things happen in his life that could have slowed down the project, but he didn't. He soldiered on through all these things and got the record done. And he's done an amazing job of coordinating everybody,
Yeah.
and also getting promotion of it. The artwork is great. It's just everything's so good about this record. It sounds awesome, and he's done a great job and has overcome a lot of obstacles in his own life to get this thing finished. So it's a great record. When he called me, I was going to do it. And then Charity, it was like, I'm absolutely going to do it. And I'll get these other people involved. And so it's a good cause. It's a wonderful thing. One more plug I have for KISS fans watching. December 18th and 19th in Florida, we're doing a 2-day KISS Expo kind of thing called Kissmas Masquerade 2020. And it's going to be live streamed. So if you go to the website, I just sent it in the chat. Maybe it can be up there soon. It's kissmas2020.com.
Right now.
Cool. You can go there and buy online streaming tickets. We're going to do a live stream thing. The Talisman are playing. Rick Derringer's playing with us. Jean Bavois playing. Bruce Kulick and Todd Kearns are going to be live streaming from their place in Vegas over to the show. All kinds of awesome stuff. 2-day expo. I think Eddie Trunk is going to be there hosting it. So if you can't be there in Sarasota, Florida with us, it's very limited tickets and it's very social distance and everything too in person. But you can see the whole thing live stream. So kissmas2020.com.
Awesome.
That's awesome. I know.
I should have been the Micro Machine. Remember the Micro Machines guy?
That's awesome. Yeah, so I put those links up. So there's the link for the Accept. I got the link for the Kissmas 2020 just went up. So
Awesome.
and the link to the CD again, folks. It's below in the description. So guys, this was an absolute blast. Guys, I'll be honest. I am honored that you guys asked me to do this. This is
Thanks
amazing.
for having us, man.
Oh man, thank you for coming on.
Thank you.
You know, this is great. I mean, I had a chance to talk with Phil Schaus. We've never met. Phil, awesome dude. You guys, John and Dean, you guys rock, man.
Thanks,
So,
man. Same.
just hang tight for a minute. I want to thank everybody that tuned in. Hope you guys enjoyed the show. Next week, we're going to be doing a Black Sabbath show. It's myself, Pete Pardo, Martin Popoff. We're counting down our top 10 favorite Black Sabbath records.
Did you see today where they announced the new 5 LP Volume 4 coming out in February?
No, I didn't.
I just bought the Paranoid one. I got that one. Yeah, February there's like a 4 CD, 5 LP Volume 4 coming out.
Wow, that's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah.
All right, cool. So, guys, have a great. Thanks everybody for tuning in. Have a great week. We'll see you next week on the Hack Show. And here's
Thanks,
everybody.
everybody.
Thanks,
Thank you.
guys.
All right, man. Rock and roll.